Everybody get your food and settled in. Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's 7 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. You can continue getting your food. Don't worry about it. Welcome to the May membership meeting for St. Louis Tri Club. We'll go ahead and move on. Today, welcome you all. We'll go through a few things. Got some updates that we can talk about. In club activities, this is our last meeting for the summer. We take a break while it's heavy race season. We'll meet again in September, but there's still club activities going on, so I want to call out some of those. And then I'll go through some basic care and some emergency maintenance you can do on your bike, just to keep it in good running order and also get you going again if you're in the middle of a long training ride and you kind of want to make it home at some point. And then we'll kind of wrap up and do our drawing for attendance prizes. So the fun part. I hope you all got your tickets. The board right now, we've got past president Chris All, current president Mike Dukchek. I'm the president-elect, Trevan Michael. The vice president, it's still open. It could be you, anyone. If you've just joined the club, you get to do things like what I'm doing now, only you're not presenting every time. You're just kind of making sure the meeting's set up to run smoothly. And you're part of the board to come hang out with the rest of the cool people on the list and make decisions to keep the club moving forward. Treasurer is Dave. Secretary is Devlin. And we have 3 members at large, JP, Bob, and Susie. For coordinator updates, Icy Iron has finished up. They're working on the swag to get that out to everybody that participated. If you participated last year and haven't picked up your swag, it continues to be over on this table every meeting for you to come by and pick it up. Come in person. Mike doesn't want it in his house anymore. It's over there. Membership, Marion Holtz, if you are new, then... Okay, so Marion may be here later. If you're new and have not received yet your shirt and your water bottle, Marion's who you want to talk to. If she stops by later, you can talk to her then. Otherwise, she's usually at the Whispering Hills Sunday morning swims. You can reach out to her individually. For clothing, that's been Brianna doing that for us. She's done a great job. She is looking for a replacement. So if anybody's interested in becoming the new clothing coordinator, please let the board know. Come find us. We've been hashing out the details for the new 2022 kit design. So be a part of all that and see that coming in first. We've got a rendering there.
I know it's late in the game, but that's the way it is. These things I think they look kick-ass, and they're going to look kick-ass front, back. I've got the mock-ups for the back and for the shorts, or the bottoms, and the one piece. These things are fantastic. We're late in the game, so if you're interested, which I hope everybody is, we will look to subsidize 1/3 of the cost of these for the key kits, meaning tops, bottoms, and I'll have a list of items later that details all that. So just remember, you're all good-looking people. It's going to look even better than one of the new kits. So I'll have information coming out soon.
Forgot to mention early on, we're streaming this to our public Facebook page, so it will be archived, and anybody that's out there, to repeat for you, we've got that new kit design. We're late getting it going for the season, but it will be coming out, and we'll be subsidizing 1/3 of the cost of the kits there for the team kits, the one-piece and the two-piece kits. So look for that, support the club. Dave has a question.
Yes, for clothing, we have our stuff that we've had in the past here, and we're having a fire sale. We haven't had a fire, but we're selling all our stuff for 50% off. So it's a good deal for right now. If we want to move this stuff, or the new stuff coming in. We got a lot of great stuff over here too.
So again, for the people that might be online, the clothing that's currently in stock, not the new kit stuff, It's marked down to 50% right now. You can see what's still there, I think, by going through the website. Otherwise, we have it here at the meeting to go through before and after this presentation. I think that's all the clothing updates. Yes? Okay. Website, Erwin manages the website for us. It's got a lot of great information out there. It's got club events. It's got races coming up. You can RSVP to races and events so you can see who else is in the club is participating in all this stuff. Mentoring, Chris Romanowski. Club challenges, Mike. I'll kind of go through some of the challenges again later. And volunteering, coordinator is Vito. We've got a lot of volunteering opportunities too. One of the topics we'll go over. So, like I said, next meeting's not till September. How do we stay connected as a club and keep doing stuff together? At all the local events especially, look for this club tent that's in this picture. People hanging out before or after, a place you can set down your bag. We've got snacks usually, some drinks. Just come hang out at the tent. The club website and the Facebook page, like I said, you can RSVP on that website, talk about stuff, ask questions in the Facebook group. It's pretty active. People will respond pretty quickly. And you can connect with your fellow club members. It's also a good place to watch for announcements. One of those things might be the club picnic, which we haven't decided on a date yet. We have been doing it after a local race in the recent years. It's not planned yet, but we will do that, so keep a lookout for that announcement. Other things you can find are information about group training. I mentioned the Sunday morning swims already. That's at Whispering Hills apartment complex. Forest Park group runs and group rides organized throughout the year, so keep an eye out on those. And then these challenges that we've got, the Wilkerson Volunteer Series and the Colby Co. Club Challenge, that's for participating in races. So on the next page, we'll talk a little bit more about the challenges. The Icy Iron is wrapped up for this year. It's the off-season challenge. That put in a lot of miles this off-season. Round 1 and round 2 miles there. We increased our swim mileage, but decreased on the other two. So people weren't as gung-ho for the second round of Icy Iron. That's all right. There was a lot of miles put in during the off-season. So good job, everybody. Wilkerson Volunteer Series, one of the things the club likes to do is make sure we're volunteering and showing that club presence around at local events. So this list here is the remaining races in the volunteer series that you can get points for volunteering at these and get swag at the end of the year for having volunteered specifically at these. You self-report if you volunteered. You go on the website and mark which ones you've volunteered at, and you get some swag at the end of the year. One other sort of volunteer opportunity right now, it was posted on the Facebook page, looking for people to stand at the tent and talk about the club with anybody coming through the St. Louis Tri Expo. So during packet pickup, there's the expo outside. We'll have a tent set up out there. I think there's some spots left and a sign-up genius to go help us out there. The Colby Co. Club Challenge, all the races left, one coming up Sunday, get some points, and then Newtown, 370 Lakeside, and Litchfield. Again, self-report, you get points for racing, get points for wearing some piece of club gear while you're racing. That's at any point during the race, so if you just throw on a visor for the run, that counts, get your point. And a bonus point if you're podium in your age group during any of those. And again, you get swag at the end of your party for all that. So it's good ways to keep active and be seeing what's going on and see your other club members around for the summer. So I'll get into some basic maintenance here. I don't know, that's happened. I don't know that the time I was laying in a bush was because something went wrong with my bike, though. So, I'll go through some things to just keep your bike looking nice and running smooth. And then there are a few things that have happened to me on my bike while I've been out on training rides that it would be good to know how to fix, and I have some of the tools here that would have been helpful in those situations. Now I have them. I can go through how to use them and can try them out a little bit. So first up, your bike likes to be clean. Triathletes especially sweat and body fluids. Indoor trainers, you drop a lot of sweat that just doesn't evaporate from wind. It's dropping on your bike. You can help by throwing towels out over your bike, or they've got the slings, but you're still going to get sweat. And out racing, some people get extra bodily fluids. Keep your bike clean afterwards. Road grime, especially on wet roads, or sometimes racing through rain. Roads are not the cleanest. Mud and trail dust. We've got the Katy Trail. It's a great trail to go riding on. I use it for my commute to work sometimes, but it is pretty dusty. You want to clean that up, keep your bike happy, especially in your drivetrain where you have a lot of moving parts and friction. You want to keep your bike nice to ride, keep it clean. So after your indoor training ride, where it's just sweat, you can get away with just wiping down. If you have a nice, gentle cleaning solution, use that too, but just wiping it down at all would be great. Any rag. If you have it on a trainer, you just keep it hanging over your seat or in a bottle cage or something, so it's right there when you finish. If you are outside, you can stop by your hose before you put your bike away. Your bike's fine being wet, especially the clean water coming out of your hose. You spray off all the mud and dust and put it away afterwards. It's dry, it's lubricated everywhere that it needs to be, so you probably won't build up too much rust, and when you're paying attention to your drivetrain in the other ways later, make sure you're not building up rust. Keep running smooth. At the end of rides, like I said, special attention to your drivetrain. You can use probably not the same rag you wipe down all the nice bits with, but just pedal backwards, clean a lot of the grime off your chain just to remove that extra friction for later and all that extra abrasion that's going to wear your chain down, make it so you have to replace it more often. Wet wipes? Yeah. By the way, speak up anytime, ask questions anytime. Feel free to interrupt me. I'm not important enough to not be interrupted. So wet wipes is a great suggestion to have around. Mike.
On the table there, you'll see my favorite bike cleaner.
On this table here, one of the options for later is this Simple Green Cleaner and Degreaser. Devlin.
How often do you clean your bike?
You know, do what I say, not what I do, is a good point to be made there. Doing some of those simple things, wiping it down, probably should do it all the time. When I come back from a commute, I do the wipe it down instead of doing a full spray off, so it leaves some dust around, more than it probably likes. But my bike's a workhorse, and I'm not that fast anyway. So, although it could be part of the reason why some of those things I talked about happened on training rides later, but that's, statistics. Next, please. So, like I said, after you've sprayed and cleaned stuff, you're going to want to lubricate your moving parts so they don't get rusty and seized up. So, something you can do just as needed after you've done clean off the main bits of grit and grime off your chain. You can do a better job of cleaning, degreasing, and then make sure your degreaser is all rinsed out and that it's fully dry, so that when you do that last step of applying your favorite lubricant, which there's another option here on the table of a dry lubricant, but there's a lot of different lubes out there for all kinds of different conditions of riding. I'm not going to go into all of those. But you want to make sure you've rinsed out all your degreaser and your chain is dry again before you apply those, or else you might just have degreaser mixed in and it's not really doing a great job of lubricating. It's coming right back out. You can do that just as needed, as often as you want. Once a week, every few rides. Keep your chain as clean as you want, not to wear it out. In the picture there, there's a tool that makes cleaning it a little easier. I brought my example that I've got. You just clip it on your chain between those two, and that back lever will kind of hold itself up against your rear derailleur, so you don't have to hold it as you're pedaling backwards. And the chain runs through that series of brushes, and you have your degreaser or water to rinse just in the bottom of this basin, so you can clean it a little easier than going at it with a brush or handheld. There's a lot of different options. This Park Tool one with a handle. And like I said, there's a lot of different types of lubricant that you can use in that picture. Less often for cleaning and lubricating your drivetrain and parts, you can do a deeper clean where you take your chain completely off. It's easier if you have a quick link, like it's literally just one link out of your chain to disconnect and put back together. Some chains new don't have that on there, so you might, if you want to actually take it off, you'd have to break the link and replace it with one of these. But that's not too tough to do either. So take your chain off. You can take your cassette off and all the gears apart and kind of give them a degreaser bath and really scrub them, let all that work into all the different parts that you wouldn't necessarily get to in your quick clean. A little bit more intense would be going into your hubs. If you have a ball bearing type bearings in your hubs, you can wipe all the grease out of there, clean it out, reapply grease, and reinstall all of that. This is my warning to not to do that on your front porch where you have landscaping. You might have to go buy new bearings.
Why is that?
Because your bearings will get lost in your landscaping, Devlin.
Did you lose some bearings?
Yeah. Maybe not do this like 3 days before a race either. This is probably why I'm not going to do it right before the try on Sunday. So I'll just let my dirty hubs get me the 23 miles this weekend. But there's a few different types of bearings in hubs. Some of them might be cartridge. You can't really re-grease those. You have to get a new cartridge and replace that. But if you have this type, I can show you the tools you can use to get in there and clean it out and repack the grease and get it running smooth. It's nice and quiet. There's no more rubbing. It's beautiful. But I like to do that about once a year. You could get into your bottom bracket also. I don't have experience with that one. I can tell mine has a lot of Katy Trail dust in it. And there's a lot more that goes into bottom brackets sometimes that you might want to leave that level of intensity to your local shop. Yeah, so support Big Shark and go to their tune-up station there. And as a member of the club, we get some tune-up services there, so that'd be a good option if you don't want to just DIY all of this and run into front porch fiascos. Yes, sir.
I don't know if you do this, I do this, but I always drop a little oil or grease on my exposed brake and shift cables. Keep them from coming up or rusting or whatever. Sometimes stuff gets, the fairing and where the cable goes into sometimes gets gummed up.
That would.
With your gel that you were riding with, and
That's another spot where, yeah, water and fluids and grime can get into that you don't see all the time, especially if you have, they've got covers on them or internally routed. Yeah, he was mentioning all the cables that you might have on your bike for brakes and gears. So you could use the same lube that you're using on your chain, put a couple drops in there, actuate them so it gets rubbed through. That is a great idea that I have also not done, but I'm kind of new to all this too. So anybody else that has things they do to keep their bike running in tip-top shape, please share with the group. All right. All right, Dave's got enough.
True it up your tires with the spokes and stuff. It's another job for a big shark.
Yeah, we'll get into that one down here, maybe. That's all right. You can jump ahead. There's not a whole lot here to jump ahead on, but so the how do I get home question. You're out and something happens. Maybe you're not laying in the bush. You know, that guy, sleep it off, get up and ride home. Big thing everybody worries about is a flat tire. Anybody wants the demonstration? I have stuff here. I can flatten my tire here. And you have to be able to change this. Have a spare tube. So spare tube would be good to have in a kit. You can have a small bag while you're out on a training ride, but have something.
You don't want race day to be your first day changing a tire.
That's also true. You don't want to be done with your race short time into the bike, waiting to get picked up by a sag wagon because you can't change your tire. So it's flat. Some rims have a little bead you have to break to get it out. And then another thing you should have in your kit are some tire levers. A lot of them seat together like that. You can pull them and peel back with your hand and hook into your tire lip there. And you've got one in. You're not very far, but at least you've got a start. A lot of them have a hook or something to attach to a spoke to hold it, so you have your hands free to get the next one in. And work just a little bit further away. Get under. Maybe. I'm normally doing this on the ground here. Let's see. There are many different varieties of this, different varieties of rim that can make this harder, tire that can make this harder. Yeah. So once you get two, it started, you have one that's locked in. You can sometimes just run the second one all the way around, break your seal. Once you get that far, a lot of times you can pull it off. Comes apart, whole thing is off. Yay. Then you have to get your new tube in. I start by putting the new tube valve stem in the hole and starting on that part of the tire. Put a little bit. This one, it wasn't all the way flat. It's still got some air. But yeah, put a little bit of air in there. Thank you. These are all very good points that I did not think of. Since I change my tires a lot because I go from different surfaces and tires and all on the same wheel set, but I've never had to do it for an actual flat, so thank you. But things to check for would be to find out what caused the flat is the advice that we're getting from the audience. So it could be in the tire that you punctured something. It could be in the rim, either something poking through your rim tape, some burr in the rim kind of stabbing into the tube, any number of things. Try to find that and remove it so you don't just waste the tube you're about to put in. Then we can get to putting this all back together, where you put your tube, got it seated, and then I get one edge of the tire started there and work it around without pinching my tube. And once I get one side on, then I lay my tube into the tire, working it around so that it doesn't get twisted or pinched or anything in there. And then I can start working that other lip of the tire back around.
I have another add-on just in case.
You can,
It's good to have that goo packet in case there's a hole in the tire, put it over the hole, but then squeeze through and pop it.
so if it was something in the tire itself, something else you could have in your kit is goo or little patches to cover that so that your tube doesn't try to push back through your hole. Does that cover? Okay.
Sometimes a dollar bill, you're gonna have a bigger patch, full of a dollar bill, span that around.
If you're carrying cash on your ride and you have a dollar bill, that makes me wonder if something like a sturdy leaf on the side of the road would also work for a smaller hole. In a pinch, you could put something to cover the hole. Those things might be tough to have stick in the right spot as you get your tube in, like goo or a patch would stick to that spot. Most of that tire will go back on fairly easily. When you get down to the last little bit, you got to make sure that your tire's kind of seated in the middle of the rim where it's got more room to work. And you can get a little more. Sometimes you can get it just with your fingers and not have to use the levers again. Like that. Just get in a good position, thumbs, pull fingers back towards you, but levers also work for that. Then, you got to reinflate it. There's a couple options for that. You can have this attached to your bike. This one, use the same screws that you use to attach a bottle cage, and it just kind of tucks in next to your bottle cage. And it's fine. In a pinch, you can sit here and pump away. Get it on. And sit here. You know, you got a whole 6 inches of play on a tiny little pump. This takes a while.
We'd like to see you get 105 PSI.
The max on these is not. Another option, I'm going to stop doing that. We can have races for a bigger prize later on who can pump it up fastest if you want. Another option, CO2 inflator. They come in a little kit. They can put them in your bag so they're not taking up your precious aero gains. You screw in the cartridge on the inflator. Make sure it's seated well and closed. There we go. You have that pressed up on your valve stem, and then you can just open it. And it popped back into the bead. It's all nice and inflated. And very cold. So mine comes with a sleeve here to insulate your fingers from the tube. It's
If you are going to use CO2, make sure to replace it with regular air once you do get back home, because the CO2 will bleed out a lot quicker than regular air.
So I've used one of those that didn't have a valve on it. You had to be pretty tricky with how much CO2 you're putting in it, because there's nothing to stop the CO2 from blowing up into.
Yeah. So there's a chart here that's a little blurry that I found because I wasn't sure about all that for what size CO2 to get for different pressures on different types of tires. So road tire, a single 16 grain CO2 canister like this one can apparently get that up to 130 PSI. So yeah, be a little careful. Touring tire, gravel tire, it's more down, it gets down to like 60 PSI on a cyclocross or gravel tire. I run 28s. It was kind of more in that 60, 65 range when I stuck that on after using the CO2 canister. So, anything else with changing tires that anybody had?
Practice taking your rear tire off, because that's pretty challenging. And a lot of people just totally befuddle for how to get it back on because of the chain.
So
So practice that at home before a race.
it's a good tip. Practice front and rear tire. Rear tire has the extra bit of trying to work around the chain and your derailleur to get off and back on again, which can especially be tricky on roadside. That is a good idea.
Which is a helpful thing if you know that you have a flat in the back and you're slowing down, stopping, get yourself geared up so that it's easier to get that chain off.
You want your highest gear in the back, or yeah, small in the front, small in the back.
So that tip was to get your rear tire off and on, or rear wheel off and on. If you know you're coming to a stop before you actually do that and get off, or I suppose you could do it after you stop, hold your bike up and pedal, get your gear set so that your chain is all the way to the small ring, so highest gear. Before you go do that, it'll be easier to get the chain on and off, and well, yeah, and back on in the right spot. You know where to put it, so it's lined up.
Small, you've got the most amount of
Slack.
slack.
So if you're on the small ring in front, you also get more slack
We
back
have
there.
a question from the Facebook page.
Okay.
I just learned of tubular tires. What are the differences?
Okay. Tubular, tubeless, and tubed tires. That was changing a tire with a tube. A tubular tire, if you get a flat, you change the whole wheel. That is the tire and tube are one piece glued onto your rim. If you get a flat, you're the pros, and there's a new wheel coming for you to change the whole thing, because you're not doing that on the side of the road.
In my understanding,
You can't carry a tube to fix that. It's integrated with your tire.
they do. My understanding is they just don't glue them in place. They slap it back in, hope the old glue will hold it.
I used to have that, looks like it's got a coating of pre-glue that should get you, it should stay on, you just wouldn't wanna take any sharp corners and
You can hobble home.
ride careful.
So you can get some that are pre-glued,
But it is a pain, they're big.
and they're much bigger. They're not going to fit in this because it's the whole tire and everything. So you could carry it in a tubular tire, but it's a pain and you're not going to want to maneuver much on that.
Or to make sealant, so you can air it up with a sealant.
You could add sealant and maybe get it aired up depending on what type of flat you got. The tubeless setup is a tire and rim that are designed to seal. You could hear the seal happen when I used the CO2 inflator on that, so I could use this one tubeless, but you use a sealant in that, and it's just kind of like your car tire. It just seals to the rim. There's not a tube inside. They're less likely to get pinch flats, and there's some advantages to running tubeless, but
And for those, if you get a flat,
if
in a race, you carry a tube with you and you slap it in there, you throw the tire back on, you go about it.
right, so if you get a flat in a tubeless, you can always revert back to a tube to get you going again. You just lose the advantages you had for having the tubeless there. But there's part of setting those up is the goo inside. So some punctures and things, the goo might seal that without you hardly noticing. You lose a few PSI and keep rolling. So there are some advantages there. And then tubed is what you normally think of, I guess, for a bike tire with the rubber inner tube. Dave.
Is there any cautions for having a carbon fiber wheel as opposed to a steel?
I've never had a carbon fiber wheel to mess with that. Does anybody have things to look out for if you have a carbon fiber wheel versus an aluminum wheel?
One thing to be careful about is that if you have one that the, well, I know everything's going this small, but let's presume for one we still got, old stuff. If the brake track is also carbon fiber and your training wheels are aluminum, you want to do, as Mike Weiser would go, you want to do one of two things. If you really want to do it right, you actually have different brake pads, because what can happen is the aluminum off of your wheel, your training wheel, can get stuck in the brake pad and then chew up your carbon fiber wheel. Some carbon fiber wheels have an aluminum, brake strip going around there. He also says the other thing you can do is just go through and, using your finger again, go and see if you have any slivers in there.
But for changing the tire itself?
As far as changing a tire,
So
You have to be a little bit more careful with the levers, depending on how thin the walls are on it. You can easily break those if they're
deal thicker. One thing that, you know, in general, if you have an aluminum or a carbon fiber wheel, you're usually talking about something that's, you know, a deeper dish thing, and that can mean that you wind up with, let's see, basically dealing with the mechanics of you have to have you know, longer spacing on the valve stem, and that either, you know, a couple ways to handle that. One is that you just buy inner tubes that have longer valve stems on them, and the other is that well, you get valve extenders, and then you have to carry a little tool, you know, get your extender off and so forth.
So, you think,
Really take a lot here and
do I need to repeat much of that? So, tubes can explode. That one's really flat now. For real, I could actually change that.
Can you change it?
Now I could change it for real. I'll need to.
What were you saying about the 80 PSI that 16
Yeah. Well, you know. So pay attention to how much you're putting in.
And one thing I was gonna bring up, and I forgot what you gotta do, is checking that you don't have a pinch flat.
Pinch flats.
So when you first pumped it up just a little bit, which was so awesome,
Yeah.
then you should go around and make sure none of your tube is sticking out. Because that's very possible.
That is very possible. This is my demonstration wheel for a reason, which we'll talk about on the third big thing. Broken chain, if we're done with flat tires. We're good? One more flat tire thing.
and it kind of comes with the valve extension. I've got the deeper rim, carbon tire thing. You have to make sure when you get replacement inner tubes that they have replaceable valves. So you have to be able to remove the valve and put in your extension. You don't get the long.
So make sure your tubes are compatible with the wheels you're using, valve extenders, all that.
Yeah, so I've got a set of tubes at home. I didn't realize didn't have removable cores, so I'm going to take those to Muncie with me. I'm going to take the core out and get it set up for my spare. I was like, this doesn't come out. Then I actually read the package. Oh, it's not removable core, so you have to use a non-removable core extender. So when that goes on, it pushes that part of it in, and then you've got a second core on top.
Yeah, I did have one of those ones. I don't have any.
So needless to say, I didn't go find a extender the day before we left, and I just took regular tubes.
All right. I think that part's done. Things happen. This is only the second time I've ever tried to use that. Mistakes happen. Good job, everybody, being here for experiences. Yes, sir.
You could mention one other thing. It's not a bad idea to carry two.
Yeah.
Sometimes come in twos.
Yeah. That is my second one there. This was my first and second. So
I've only done
you
one time. I got a flat. Unfortunately, it was two of them. And
you also have
it
two
was
wheels.
on highway, gosh, it was 20. It was on Highway M, and I was out in the heat for quite a while till I got picked up. They only had one tube, so not a bad idea to carry two.
Good plan. Carry 2 extra tubes. You've got 2 wheels. More flats can happen, especially on longer rides. All right. Broken chains also can happen. Sometimes because you haven't been keeping it very well maintained. Sometimes because you try to change gears under load and things happen, or something kicked up off the road or trail into your chain.
Oh, you're talking about.
I'm talking about chains, not spokes. If you lose your chain, your bike becomes a strider bike, which is great for kids learning balance, but can be tough to do for like 15 miles. You need something like this tool to get the broken links off of your chain. You put the link into the tool, and then by tightening it, you can knock the pin out of that particular link. And then it would be good, if that's happening, to have a spare quick link around to replace it. If you don't, and you're 12 or 15 miles down the Katy Trail, you can pick that pin you just knocked out, back up, and push it back in, and just kind of be gentle with it on your way back. But that same pin can at least get you home you can keep an eye on it. Don't be, maybe your training ride has ended and you're just working on getting home at that point. Don't put down the power. But it'll get you there where you can then find that broken pin and get it all fixed up. I have a couple spare bits of chain if anybody hasn't ever used one of these and wants to try before you leave tonight. You can do that. So I was on the Katy Trail about 50, so I was down at right where the trail is passing Klondike Park, down 94. Klondike Park is beautiful. You can go there anytime. It's got great overlooks of the river. From the Katy Trail, it's a pretty good hill up gravel to get into the park. I was standing up and trying to get up that hill, and all of a sudden, I didn't have power anymore. So just too strong, I think.
I'm curious, in this room, like, who else has ever had their chain break when they're riding? I never have. I was just curious. You have had
Anytime
all?
I go to mountain bike.
Yeah.
Luckily, the guy riding with us, his multi-tool actually had a chain break, had a chain thing on it, because he didn't have one with him.
So this is another one of those purchased from experience. But I do have a multi-tool. Some multi-tools come with a chain breaker on them. Mine does not, so I had to get a separate one. So might be an okay idea if you're going out with a group. Make sure one of you has one, maybe. It's not that much weight. It's fine. Throw it in your bag.
No, I understand. I saw that ride of yours on Garmin Connect and wondering, why did you do this point-to-point thing that left you so far away from home?
We went back. I probably turned the watch off after that. Yeah, that's probably what it was. Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Didn't happen.
But yeah, you can, in a pinch, use one of the pins you just broke out to get the broken chain out of the way to kind of patch it back together just to get home. Otherwise, the quick link, you can go right back to your training ride. If you've got that, it's used on chains anyway. The other one, like I said, this is my demonstration wheel. Broken spokes. So sometimes a spoke might break while you're out. It's this wonderful twanging noise, and then you get this rattling while you're riding. You probably have a broken spoke. There's not a whole lot you can do while you're out on the road. I'd have a multi-tool with you anyway for any number of things, but depending on how it breaks and how out of true your tire gets from having mismatched tension, you might have to use your tool to open up your brake calipers or do something, get interference out of the way so that you can ride your wobbly tire home and make it to help. That's about all that I know of what you can do on a broken spoke. And then you could replace the spoke yourself, but I would advise taking it to Big Shark to have them get the right tension and get your wheel back into true before you go off riding too much more. If your spoke is in the way, you can clip it off if you have something to clip it off, or you can bend it and tie it around a nearby spoke in the same area so that it doesn't get caught up in anything else while you're riding and wobbling home. Just twist it around. If you have something and can get to the nipple here, you can unscrew it there and take it off. That, on mine, that would leave a loose nipple to get lost under my rim tape. So I leave it on so that it doesn't lose anything up inside the rim and just tie it out of the way. Sometimes you can get it with your fingers, or if you have a wrench small enough or a specific spoke wrench, you can get that twisted and get it off. So anything in the way with the spoke, you can usually bend them if they're aluminum spokes, and just kind of tie it up. Just whatever you can do to get you home. If you lose too many spokes, you might be too wobbly. And then last resort on all of this is keep your cell phone with you or something. Call for emergency pickup, because that'll be better. You can fix your bike another day, finish your training later. I think that's the end of what I've got for this. Any questions or other emergency experiences that anybody's had that would be helpful for folks to learn. Uber XL. So if you don't have a friend that can come pick you up in a vehicle, Uber XL can be your friend. You don't just ride through the thunderstorm? You're insulated from the road and from ground? Stay on your tires. All right. I guess thanks for listening to me ramble about things and blow up tires in your face. It goes straight to YouTube. We're going viral. Next slide, please, Devlin. Just reiterating updates at St. Louis Tri Club. We have a QR code now to get you there. It's on our, if you don't have a card and want to keep a card with you, either to hand off to people or just a reminder to get to the site every once in a while. We have cards over at the sign-in table. Devlin? Get your tickets ready for our drawing here. Did everybody get a ticket for the drawing?
I wanted to mention something real quick if I can, Trevan.
Go ahead, Mike.
Swim
Do you
across-
want to come up here where
No,
folks can hear it?
nobody wants to see me.
But they need to hear you online. Is this one working, Bill?
He can hear you through there.
Okay.
Just real quick, Swim Across America is coming to St. Louis August the 27th, the day before the 370 Lakeside Triathlon. It's raising money for cancer research. You need to raise $300, usually put up $50 to start. But I wanted to let everybody know, if you want to be a part of the St. Louis Triathlon Club team, we will put up a $150 match to help you along. So we want to have more people from the club involved with Swim Across America. So if you're interested, let me know. There's information out there if you look up Swim Across America. And we have our team, so if you do sign up, it is a drop down for joining a team at St. Louis Triathlon Club. And I hope more people will join us this year. Thanks.
What was the date on that, what we're talking?
August the 27th. It's a Saturday.
I have one other thing before we get to prizes that I forgot. If we have any new members, we invite you up to introduce yourselves to the rest of the club. Just one this month. Well, thank you.
Do I need to
You-
get close and talk?
You're all right.
Well, see, this is going out to everywhere, so don't say anything you don't want.
The internet will hear you.
Like Wolf McIver or something.
Everybody's got to see so they can learn from the experience.
My name's Lucas Rayburn. I'm actually new to St. Louis. I'm going to Logan University, and I'm wrapping up my second year as a chiropractic student. I've been riding for a while, but this coming Sunday is going to be my first triathlon, so excited to race and get out and see you guys there. Well, yeah, thanks so much for having us, guys.
I guess also Marion is here now, so you can get your shirt and
I actually got it to him at the pool the other day.
awesome.
But if anybody else is new and hasn't gotten a shirt or water bottle and all that, you can see me afterwards. Did Robin get hers? You've got 2 shirts.
All right, everybody got their ticket? Okay. Ending 663. Yes, I mixed it up. Here we go. Congrats, first pick, all the good stuff.
All the good stuff?
That side of the table. You can't have my popped tires. Ending 655. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that yours? Would you like to pick the next number? Thank you. 659. Pick the next number for me and pick your prize. 657. If you would, Norma, pick the next ticket for me. Thank you. 649. He walked right by me. You pick it. 645.
That's gotta be worth at least like one run lesson, right?
Thank you. 662. Yeah, it's a bag. You know, like a kid likes a box. Thank you. 641. That's me. I'll pick one later. 651. No, he doesn't win either. I'm sorry.
So Lucas has his first triathlon. Yeah, because I didn't bring it up at the meeting.
He's got plenty of food at his house.
Let's do this one.
All right. 642. Six, 661. 661. Marion.
Right, let's see what we've done in here. There.
Thank you. 647. 653. You can pick four.
Oh, come on, this isn't fair. We'll do this one, and then this.
646.
Do one green.
See, stuff on this side, is that what it is?
Yeah. If you pick another one for me.
Oh, I put mine, oh, you
I
grabbed
got
it.
it. Thank you. 643.
Is this a rear flashy?
It is. Well, it's clip on for running. Could you pick another one for me?
They don't work.
You got to pull the tab. 650. Can you pick a new one for me?
All right, hold on. I'm going to the bottom.
All right.
There you go.
656. That's the last. Unless you want the bag, you get the foam roller.
I don't know if I rode my bike here, I don't know if I can.
We can hold it. We can hold it for you for another time. Okay. Lauren's got it. Unless anybody wants a bag, you can have.
By the way, who got the socks? Who was it who got the socks, by the way? So if
Oh.
those aren't the right size, you know, you can exchange them.
You can take them back to Big River and they'll exchange them for you. All right, that's all the prizes. Next meeting is September 21st. It's going to be at the Athletico in U City on Olive Boulevard. That'll be on the website and everything if you need to check it later. And we'll probably put the Facebook announcement out when we're coming up on it.
You guys are bringing, you got the tent situation, I've seen the tent followers going back and forth, so I think
For this weekend, we'll be at your packet pickup for St. Louis Trike, and at the expo, and then at the race, we'll have the tent set up. Look for us.
I might take one to Newtown for the swim.
And we'll have one on Saturday morning at the open water swims that Big Shark does at Newtown. If you,
If there's anybody not doing the St. Louis Triathlon, I will have a pool.
all right, I think that's it. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful summer, and we'll see you around.